All right, YouTube, you do not need as much discipline as you think to achieve your goals, all right? And it gets to a point to where you really don't need any discipline to achieve your goals. Stay with me because this is a very important video, okay? Most of the knowledge that I'm about to talk about in this video comes from these two books. The One Thing by Gary Keller and Atomic Habits by James Clear. Me and my students just got done reading this book. Very, very powerful. It's my second time reading it. This book changed my life. This book right here changed my life. And a lot of my philosophy and theology on life comes from this book. A lot of it comes from this book. And then I also read this book about a year or two later, which kind of says a lot of the things that it says in here. But this one honestly is better, but they're both very, very powerful books, okay? And I'm about to combine both of the most powerful lessons from these books into this video. You do not need as much discipline as you think, okay? Stay with me. Let's get into it right now. All right, now, this chart is actually from both of those books, all right? Both of these books, but they're different in the books, okay? In Atomic Habits, it talks about repetition, okay? And in The One Thing by Gary Keller, it talks about time, okay? But they both talk about discipline and how you don't need it as much as you think you do, all right? So let's get into it, okay? So whether you're trying to change your life around or you're trying to be the type of person who reads all the time, or you want to be the type of person who works consistently every single day. That's just what you want to do. It gets to a point to where working is not hard. Working, like compared to most people, working hard compared to most people is very, very easy for a lot of other people, such as like millionaires and billionaires, right? They just do it because it's a part of who they are, okay? So let me break down this chart. It's gonna be a quick video, but it's very, very, very powerful. Pay attention, take notes. Okay, so right here we got discipline. This is the amount of discipline needed. And over here we got time and repetitions. Okay, so in the beginning, when you're trying to start a new habit, or you're trying to make a new lifestyle, or you're trying to break out of your environment, or you're just trying to change your personality, change who you are as a person. In the beginning, it can be hard, okay? So let's explain this graph a little bit, right? So as time and repetitions go, the discipline becomes less and less, okay? In The One Thing by Gary Keller, they talk about 66 days. It takes 66 days to really form a habit to where it's just automatic. It's just something you do. If you do something consistently for 66 days, at that point, it becomes automatic. It's a new neural pathway that is ingrained in your head, okay? And that's a big thing when you're trying to change your personality or change your habits. What you're doing is you're physically changing the neurological pathways within your brain, okay? Sometimes when we're younger, we're programmed to do certain things or think certain things because of our environment or the people we were raised around, the people we grew up around, or our parents, their ideologies got pressed onto us, okay? When you're a kid, your brain is like a sponge. And so it's very easy for new neural pathways to be formed in your brain as a kid. As you get older, it's harder to break out of them because they're like imagine a trail. You know, in the woods. It's a trail that's been walked on 1,000 times, right? So it's easy to walk on that trail. It's a clear path. Creating a new neurological pathway in your brain is like going off of that path, and now you have to make a new path. That's exactly what it's like. You have to stomp on the ground or walk that path long enough to where now it's just a clear path for you, okay? So that's what we're gonna go over. The One Thing by Gary Keller says it takes 66 days. Now, either way, when you first start a new habit, it's gonna be difficult, okay? But I have two different lines here, okay? This line makes it easier, right? This is the line that most people try to go on. They try to start a new habit exactly where they're at, but it's harder. As you can see, the discipline starts way up here. Okay? The two differences between these two lines is this is starting exactly where you're at in your exact environment. This is a line that starts with a new environment. You take the time out your day, 1, 2, 3 days or a week or whatever, to completely change your environment, okay? And change the people you hang out with, okay? You can get on this graph by changing your phone number, cutting all your old friends off, changing the city that you live in. Even if you can't change the city that you live in, change your number, delete social media. That's what makes it easier to change your personality and to change your habits to where things get easier for you. It's easier to make cold calls. For me, right, because I teach wholesaling real estate, so a lot of my students who come in here, I try to get them on the right path as soon as possible, like day one. But for a lot of them, it's hard to hit the KPIs every day. It's hard to make those cold calls every day because it's uncomfortable. It's hard. You have to learn the script, right? But I try to get them on this path, right? Change your environment, cut off social media. It's only temporary, right? You don't have to cut off social media forever, but when you're trying to build a new personality, build new habits, a new way of life, sometimes you have to give things up temporarily to fully embody that and really take hold and go the full distance. So let's talk about this one first. If you're starting where you're at, okay, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to start a new habit. Let's say the habit that you want to do is reading every day, okay? Reading every day. It's going to be hard if you're not used to reading. It can get very boring. You fall asleep. And what a lot of people experience is they'll read a whole page and they forgot what they read. They don't even know what they read, so they have to read it again, okay? So it's very, very hard. But as time goes on, around day 66, all right, that's from the One Thing by Gary Keller. They say that it takes anywhere from 23 days to 130 days, I believe, but 66 days was the sweet spot. And this is something that you have to do consecutively. Consecutively, you have to practice these habits. And around day 66, on average, that's when a new neurological pathway has been formed in your brain. Now, after day 66 of you doing it every day, now it starts to feel weird if you don't do it, right? Reading books, for example. Now it feels weird, you feel off, or you feel bad because if you didn't read that day, okay? But you have to do it every single day, okay? And also, a big thing, like I said, reps. Reps is very important. Atomic Habits doesn't even talk about time. They say that time is irrelevant because let's say you get to day 66, but you didn't do it every day, right? Now it's going to take you longer. But if you do it every day for 66 days, that's a sweet spot. But Atomic Habits goes past that. There might be a person who does it once a day. Imagine if you did the habit, you practiced the habit, took a lot of discipline at first, but let's say you did the habit 3 times a day. You could ingrain that new neurological pathway within your brain sooner or more effectively by day 66, okay? And it continues, the discipline continues to lessen and lessen and lessen. It's not a big deal for me, it's not hard for me to make cold calls every day. It's just a part of who I am. It's just what I do. It's not hard for me to read. I don't know if you guys ever seen my book collection right there. I have a full book collection. I've read about 80 to 90% of them. I love to read. It's not a big deal for me. I get so lost in the book when I'm reading. Like, I love reading, right? Especially if the book is interesting to me. Okay? But let's talk about this one. This is when you change your environment. When you put yourself, I'll give you my example that in my life. I was born and raised in Louisiana, right? I grew up there. I was always in trouble there. I was a troubled kid there, in and out of jail, addicted to drugs, a bunch of stuff, right? So it was really, really, really hard for me to get used to building a new identity while I was in Louisiana I knew where all my friends were. I knew where all my friends lived. I had all my friends' numbers. It wasn't nothing to go by their house and smoke weed with them or hang out with them or get drunk or party with them. It wasn't nothing. Like, that was my environment that I grew up in, and I knew all the hot spots to do all the bad stuff that I wanted to do, right? But when I moved out and I moved to Houston, I was in a new city, in a new state, and I didn't know anybody. And I changed my number, and I deleted social media, okay? So I put myself in an environment to where I couldn't do those toxic habits anymore. And that's a big thing that Atomic Habits talks about. If you want to break a habit, okay, these are the 4 things you need to do in order to break a habit. You need to make the habit. It goes more into depth in Atomic Habits, but in a nutshell, the bad habits, you need to make it invisible, you need to make it unattractive, you need to make it hard, and you need to make it unsatisfying. If you want to build a habit, you need to make it obvious, you need to make it attractive, easy, and rewarding. Well, yeah, obvious, attractive, easy, and rewarding, right? So let me give you an example. If you want to start reading in the morning every day, what you're going to do is, let's say you have a book that it's on the other side of the room or it's in your closet somewhere. First, you got to make it obvious. Take that book out of your closet. You're going to put it right on your nightstand every single day. That makes it obvious. The habit is obvious now, okay? Make it attractive. As far as reading, there's a few examples in the book to make it attractive, but read something that you want to read, okay? But put the book by your nightstand. That way you see it first thing every day when you wake up. Make it obvious. Make it attractive. A book that you want to read. Make it easy. Same thing. Leaving it right there. Maybe you would leave the book open. Leave the book open from where you first left off, right there on your nightstand, and it's the first thing you do when you wake up. And then make it attractive. I don't know. Just make it a book that you really, really want to read, or it talks about giving yourself a reward after reading, right? Maybe after you read, you do something else that you really want to do. Maybe it's look at your phone. So now you built this habit to where your book is right there, it's automatically open, it's easy to do it, and then it's attractive because as soon as you get done doing it, you know that, all right, now it's time, now I could get on my phone, or now I could do whatever, now I could listen to music, right? And over time, that builds a new neurological pathway in your brain that reading is just what I do. You do that long enough, right? It doesn't require as much discipline. You do that long enough, and sooner or later, around day 66 or shorter, it becomes a part of who you are, bro. Here's another big thing that I really wanted to say in this video. I am not disciplined. I'm not, bro. I'm not. Now, I was disciplined. There was a time and point that I had to become disciplined, but I was never disciplined. I had to fight through it, but I always optimized my environment. And I talk about that in my other video, create an environment where you can't lose. I'm ADHD. I always get distracted. I'm lazy. Real talk. Because I have a lot of you that hit me up and you're like, man, I wish I could do the stuff that you do, or I wish, I was on the type of time that you're on. I wish it was easy for me to read books. I wish I was disciplined enough to make the cold calls. Bro, I'm not disciplined at all. It's just, it took me a little bit, but now it's just a part of who I am. I'm just as lazy as you. I'm just as undisciplined as you, right? Now, there is times where I have to be disciplined, and I am disciplined to a certain extent, but I'm just like you, bro. The secret to success and the secret to doing whatever you want to do, right? The new personality that you want to create, it just comes down to how many reps can you put in over a certain period of time and create an environment to where it's easy for you to do that. Like I said, when I was in Houston, bro, I didn't know anybody in Houston. And my car broke down. But guess what? I thanked God that my car broke down because I knew I didn't need my car. It was a blessing in disguise. Yes, I was bummed out when my car broke down. But really the next day I was like, I know that happened for a reason. Now I have no excuse to go anywhere. If I needed food, I'm ordering Walmart, right? Walmart gets delivered to your door. Easy. I never left my room for 8 months, and it wasn't hard. Go watch those videos of me in Houston, bro. Go watch them. You'll see, like, I was on monk mode. I said that. I was in monk mode every single day, but it did not feel like monk mode. I felt so fulfilled because I was finally doing something that I wanted to do. I was becoming the person, and I was the person that I wanted to be for the longest time. And it was so hard for me to be that type of person in the environment that I used to be. Right? Now, let's say that you are in your hometown and you are in a toxic household or whatever. It's on you, right? You're going to start up here. It takes a lot of discipline at first, but around day 66, it gets easy. But in the beginning, you have to change your number. You have to change your number, bro. A lot of people don't want to do that. It's because the old version of you that doesn't want to change, that's scared of change, doesn't want to give up, your friends or your old contacts. But here's the best thing, bro. The day ones who really care about you, because most of the people who you think are your friends are not really your friends. The people who really, really care for you and love for you, they'll reach out. They'll find a way to get in contact with you, okay? And even if they do, you let them know what type of time you're on. And if they're a real friend, they'll respect it. I have real friends to this day who is with me since Louisiana, and they support me. They're my brothers, like, for real. They support me every step of the way, okay? So the main thing that I want you to get out of this video is you do not need discipline like you think you do. You don't. In the beginning, it takes a good bit, but just do one small habit. That's another thing. Let me get into this really, really quick. It starts off with tiny habits. If you've never jogged or exercised or read a book or made a bunch of cold calls, you don't need to fill up your day with doing all of these extreme habits, because you're gonna fail every time. And the cycle begins when you start beating yourself up because you weren't the person that you expected to be overnight. Don't do that, bro. Don't bog yourself with all of these extreme habits. Like you're gonna go to the gym every day, jog a mile every day, read every day, and it sounds good, but be realistic. This is how you escape that. This is how you stop from being average to exceptional, right? To extraordinary. You start off with small habits. When I first came out of jail, missing my teeth, still had all my vices, never worked out, completely out of shape, what I did was I started off with 10 push-ups a day. 10 push-ups a day. And it was never about the push-ups. It was never about me building muscle. It was about me building the virtue of consistency. Once you build the virtue of consistency, now you are building a new neurological pathway within your brain that is convinced within your subconscious mind that you are consistent. You do push-ups. You are the type of person to do push-ups. Build that virtue, build that new neurological pathway, and then build off of that. Now you could do 20 push-ups a day, no more and no less. The second that the biggest trap that people fall into, and I fell into this a few times, is I would start off with 10 push-ups a day, and then around day 10, I'm like, man, 10 push-ups, I could do more than that. 10 push-ups ain't nothing. Matter of fact, I'm gonna raise it to 50 push-ups. Then what happens? What inevitably happens is there's gonna be a day where you're either too busy, a family emergency pops up, or something pops up, or you're sick and you don't feel like doing the 50 push-ups. Now look at you. You just broke that neurological pathway that was forming. So don't overdo it. Start off with 10 push-ups for 30 days. The hardest part about it is it's boring and it feels like you're not making any progress. But I promise you are. Your brain is always going to give you mental resistance to go back to the way you're living. And it tricks you. That's what it does. It tricks you to thinking, 10 push-ups? What? You could do way more than that. You might as well do 50 or 100. That's your brain tricking you to try and break your consistency. Start off with very, very small habits, and you do it every single day. for about 30 to 60 days. Once you do that consistently, that small habit, you're gonna add on top of it. And then you're gonna add on top of it after another 30 to 60 days. I promise you, if you could get over, because a lot of losers or a lot of failures, they can't handle patience. Like, they don't have patience. They want it overnight. They want to be a millionaire overnight. They want to be jacked overnight, right? They want to be super smart. They want to have all these things overnight, but that's not how it happens. I'm telling you. Every single millionaire, they had to first build consistency. Consistency. It takes time. So what you have to do is detach from the results. We're not worried about results right now. We're worried about changing who we are as a person and our personality and the way we think and our perspective on life. And that starts with one small habit. Tiny habit. So small that on your worst day, whether your dog died, your girlfriend broke up with you, you're sick, or you broke your legs, you can still do it. It's so small that you could still do it. There's no way that you can't do it. Okay? That is the biggest key into building discipline. And over time, okay, whether you just started off with straight discipline in the environment that you're in, or you make it easier on yourself and you optimize your environment. You move things around your room and around your apartment to where it's harder to do the bad habits and it's easier to do the good habits. Optimize your environment, and over time, as you build these tiny little habits, bro, it just becomes a part of who you are. I work out, I am fit because that is who I am. I'm fit. I work out, that's just who I am. I read books. I wholesale real estate. I close deals consistently every single month because that is who I am. It's not a challenge anymore. It just takes time and deliberate practice, and always try to improve, okay? So I hope you guys got some value out of this video. If you did, make sure to hit the like button, comment, subscribe. I'm dropping weekly videos about wholesale and real estate, self-improvement, and just life in general. If you want to become my student, okay, if you want to work with me one-on-one, help you get your first wholesale deal within 90 days or less, just DM me on Instagram. All my information is going to be down in the description. Stay motivated, y'all.